So it looks like we're going to be watching Fargo, or however they talk in Fargo, but it's a North Dakota accent. But I want to use this film kind of as a reference to some of the opening of Grace, because, you know, the panhandle of Texas gets very, very cold. It gets like sometimes negative 10 degrees and stuff like that. And there's quite a bit of snow. And as you know, in Grace, it opens in the snow in the panhandle. And I'm trying to figure out if my film actually opens on a film set. And I'm thinking about maybe bringing in filmmakers in the actual film that also are looking for the werewolf. So it's not just vloggers, but then these like filmmakers come in and they're like trying to capture everything and stuff, and they become kind of a problem in the way. So I don't have names for them yet or anything, but they're going to be like, kind of like they got storyboards and they're kind of awkward and quiet, you know, and maybe they'll have like minimum dialogue, and they'll just come in every once in a while, and the werewolf, you know, ends up, you know, killing them. So we're gonna watch some of this because this is really great. It kind of bring more of a reality to the film too. So I got a whole layering I have to do with Grace, aka Were Vlog. Kind of like they buy it so you can't even watch it. It's like, it's that good. It's like so good you can't even. It's too good to watch. That's what it is. Seriously. What is it? It's got these little divots right here, but press on it. I don't really do anything. It's like stock in there. Oh, got it. All right. Goodness. All right, so the weirdest thing happened. Kitty must have done it. But last night when I got home, I turned the water on like this, and the water ran into here, and then all along here, all the way to this bowl and by this reserve water over here. Follow the stream, and I looked, and that right there was completely detached and moved over about that far or so. So the water leaked out here, all in here, and right over there. My theory is, Kitty took his little paw, he opened this, he walked over here, climbed over this using his back legs or so, pushing this straight down to get way back here. Strange enough, he likes to get back there and curl up and get all cozy. Looks like that's what happened. I asked Linda, she couldn't explain it either. It had to be Kitty.
Did you eat, dear?
Yeah, I got some pizza.
What did you, watch?
All right, so you can see the water is flowing, and so I guess over time it caused this to unscrew, pull down, and move over a little bit to the left. The thing that scared me the most on it was that it actually was moved over. So if Kitty maybe walked by this, and let's say the cat put its pressure on here, then over time it would have, I don't know, maybe unscrewed here, and then he stepped on it, kind of climbed back there and knocked it out. So literally when I turned that on, it all just kind of spilled.
I'll let you know if you need to get cat food.
All right, we're at 48 degrees Fahrenheit. It's 208,716 miles on the odometer. For some reason, the word odometer is kind of a weird word with me. Yep, it's that extra day, February 29th. I didn't have to do any research at all. Looks like the computer on the car did it for me. February 29th of 2024. That implies there's some type of leap year activity or something like that. Lots of traffic, Fort Worth. So I watched Fargo, which is kind of one of my favorite rewatches. I have some movies I like to rewatch. The thing about Fargo, there's some elements that are at play, and I think they needed certain elements for that movie to work. Now, that was an original screenplay. It's a nut right there. The original screenplay, I believe, based on what they say is a true story, and there is interviews saying that it was a true story, but they made up the characters. So the characters are fictionized, and I guess the dialogue as well, because they did not want to do a documentary. They did do a television or a cable series on Fargo. I don't know if it's television, it was more like for cable. But it was a movie. It got some awards. I know for sure Frances McDormand won her first Best Actress Oscar Academy Award the year that was made. And I'm saying late 90s. I'm just throwing it out there because I'm going by memory right now only. Now, it needed the snow. I know that. So it needed the snow. Looks like I got the light on right there. Yep, I got the light on again. So it did need the snow. I think it probably did need the violence in order for it to actually work. It's such a horrible, like, horror story, you know? It's just very, very scary. But I think the brilliance in it is, like, the Columbo style, you know, nice guy character that Frances McDormand plays the, I guess it's like a, I don't really know the rank of the cop, whatever, doing the investigation, but she keeps going back and talking to William H. Macy's character, and there's just a lot of charming. She goes in the first time, it's very Columbo, and she's like, yeah, I want to ask you a question there, you know, just want to ask a question about your car lot and see if there's, you know, any missing cars lately, you know. And he's like, absolutely not, there's nothing, you know. They're going through this whole Fargo style dialogue. It's real chippy, you know, it's not the exact dialogue, but, you know. And then she comes back again with the same attitude, and he, you know, runs from the interview eventually. The William H. Macy does. He doesn't like run immediately, but he's like, you know, he finally tries to explain to her that there was no missing cars, there was no stolen cars or whatever. He goes, you know, she stops, you know, in the middle of the interview. So there's some, you know, performance there, you know, and she gets kind of just stern with him. You don't have to get snippy with me. She used the word snippy. And he, you know, he basically, you know, goes, okay, fine, I'll do a lot count right now. You know, he gets all kind of mad, you know. And so he jumps off, he gets his gear together, and all of a sudden his car just drives up. She's like, he's fleeing the interview. So she knew she had hit upon the right, you know, all the elements were at play, you know, they all just kind of fold out for, you know. And it's fun to watch all of those, like, Sherlock Holmes kind of, look at this traffic right here, lots of traffic coming forward. It's fun to watch it all line up, you know, for her favor, you know, for the favor of the investigation. It all just kind of, you know, there's hints, a lot of hints in the beginning parts that lead later on, that circle around, you know. She's looking for two types, a certain type of car, and then she goes driving around the lake, and she finally finds it, you know. But it skips around. It uses the ellipsis, and that's what Hemingway did a lot of that when he would write, meaning it'll just go from one thing, and it doesn't have to build every single thing to the next thing. You know, it'll cut. Like, especially his arrest, you know, it's like, you find out, you know, she's got the guy in the back, and she knows that he wouldn't have done all that for just $40,000 or $80,000 or whatever amount of money that the guy had. For a little bit of money is what she says, you know. So she knows that there was more to play, that there was something big going on, and then phone calls were traced and all this kind of stuff. And so finally she asked him, you know, she kind of hints, there's a lot of subtext. That Fargo's a really good one for subtext, because she hints at what he needs to answer. She doesn't directly answer. Like, she doesn't, I mean, she doesn't directly question him, like in the car, especially before the police get there, you know. And you also don't see how she gets him locked up in the back of her car. You do see one thing that's a little risky for an officer to do is when, you know, she's pregnant, so she can't go running. Marge is the character's name, Marge or Marjorie or Marge, whatever. She can't go running after him on the icy lake. So she fires a round off and hits him in the leg. And, you know, if she would have killed him, then there could have been some possible issues because he was unarmed. I think he may have been armed. I don't really know. He was running on this frozen lake and she shoots him as he's running away. Had a little issue with if an officer would really do that because they can get the death penalty. Yeah, there was a case where a police officer, there was a crazy guy in a park and he got scared for whatever reason. He turned around and ran away from the police officer. The police officer drew his weapon and shot him in the back and got the death penalty. I think that police officer was put down. I think they ended up killing him for doing that. So that was kind of a risky thing because, you know, she shot him in the leg, you know, which they're not really supposed to do that. Because from what I know about law enforcement, and I know quite a bit, well, I know a little bit. I know enough to be a little dangerous, but what I know is that their bullets are actually made to kill. They're not made to wound. So they have stuff that shreds in it. So when they shoot somebody in the leg or something, they can easily die. So it's a very serious thing. I mean, they have a lethal sidearm. That's what they call it. Have you ever noticed that? They call it a lethal sidearm. It's not a, their bullets are lethal. They're made to be lethal. They're different than the bullets that other people have. Or that citizens have, bullets, right? Theirs are a little bit different. They shred in the flesh and cause. But anyway, she shoots him in the leg, and then I guess she gets him in the back of the car because the next moment we see him, and he's in the back of the vehicle. And then she kind of hints at what he should say, you know, like she's basically saying in the subtext, you know, you didn't go through all of that for nothing. There's some real money involved. You know, it's not $40,000 or $80,000. And there's actually $1 million on the line in the movie, if you watch it, but it's buried alongside the road, and the only marker is with this little scraper for the windshield, you know, one of those little snow scrapers is left on the side that Steve Buscemi's character leaves before he's put into the chopper, into the wood chopper. And so she knows just by when he's driving off, it's like, so your assailant was put in the wood chopper. You know, she says that, you know. And then she realizes that Mr. London, whatever the name is, London Burr or whatever, she knows that that's who was on the floor, who he killed. You don't see that either. You don't see him kill the wife. They just assume that you understand that she's dead. It's a very interesting because all the clues and things are put into place. And the one thing that the Coen brothers know, especially, I don't know if it's Joel or Ethan or both of them, is they know that the audience is very intelligent. So they do right for that aspect. They know that we're smart enough to figure this stuff out. And also another common thread that's in a lot of the Coen brothers movies is law. You know, there's always some type of legal character, you know, some type of cop, judge. It's even on Brother, Where Art Thou? You know, there's always some kind of connection with the law, which is interesting because they say that Alfred Hitchcock was horrified of authority, you know, authority figures, because, well, for one thing, one of Alfred Hitchcock's first films was it's called The Wrong Man. It was about a guy who, he gets wrongly accused, and since he's wrongly accused and put into prison, his wife goes crazy. He has to go back and see her. I think Henry Fonda was in it. But there's this connection, and Alfred Hitchcock had the same thing. I think Alfred Hitchcock was Catholic. But they have this connection with the fear that's out there in the public with that, you know, aspect of fearing imprisonment and fearing, you know, because everything in Fargo is done kind of out of fear. Because if you think about it, why would the husband want to kill? The husband didn't want to kill. What the husband was afraid of was not having enough money. And he would have been fine probably just risking it with whatever he did, but he was afraid. So he had to put his wife in this horrible, risky situation so that, he could have all of this money, that this little scheme that he had with the ransom money and getting money out of the father-in-law and all this other stuff. It's a very interesting story. It seems to be a common thread. I haven't seen Blood Simple, so I have not seen Blood Simple yet, but I would say that it's probably a common thread through all of their movies. First delivery, 7:02, 10 minutes, 3.6. Well, looks like we're going to be coming along the skyline of Fort Worth. And then the Trinity River. And looks like they do have go-karts tonight at Rockwood. They've been there 60 years. Go-karter, and not a lot of people at the mini golf. And that's all I got for you right now. We're headed out. Drop off some food. Now, one thing I might try to do in the future, I might get like a little Canon or a little camera. I might get a used one off of Facebook or something. And this will be after MacBook Pro. Okay, so it won't probably be until like November and things depending on I make that purchase. But I'll probably make a little trailer, and it may be of Grace, or it might be Baggage Clam. I don't really know yet. Probably Grace would be more of an exciting one, and then I might shop it around. So meet some people, knock on doors. I won't have to bring any equipment into the homes or anything. I'll just simply bring the link, on my channel. So I'll just say like, here's what we have. This little 10-minute trailer or something, and I'll probably just film it somewhere in Texas, since it's real easy to do. And appreciate it, Coen Brothers, for giving that information. And then when we find, of course, this will go to people that have money, and we'll just ask them to put a little bit of money in. And I don't know exactly the details of what they said to them, but probably it'd be something like, well, you'll be investing in this motion picture, and we plan to make the money back and some. So you would get a share within the actual first film. And our goal is to make the money back and be able to make another movie. So we'd have to shop it around and meet some important people that are interested in investing, not necessarily in a movie company, but in a movie. And if that movie does well, then they'll have shares in that. And then we'll take that money and use it to not only pay our actors, but we'll use it for catering and lighting and makeup and costumes and and for extra editing and any type of camera that we want to buy that's better, or lighting equipment and boom mics and tech people to show up to be paid. And then we, if we make the money back and we're able to return that money back to our investors, and we'll make another movie. Sound like a good idea, right, Kitty? The question is, like talking to investors, that's probably a whole script in its own. There goes an Uber right there. It's like a whole script on its own right there. So you have to come up with like a sales pitch, and after kind of tell them what the film's going to be about, maybe the character names and things like that, and how it'll make money. And so Blood Simple would probably be a one to kind of study, because you got to picture yourself, someone talking about a horror film and set in Texas. Yeah. So if they I guess put money in it, the worst they can do is say no. Yeah. You just go to the next one. So, you know, depending on how much money you put into the film, depends on how much money you would get back. Because everything's a gamble. And people that have a lot of money, especially people that are filthy rich, they have more to gamble, you know. And they may want to help an artist. You may run across one philanthropist that would give you everything, or maybe a few of them, you know. You may talk to 100 of them, and only 10 of them cough up $10,000, so you got yourself a $100,000 movie. Sounds like a really good idea. Next one, 7:36, 9 minutes, 4.2.